Hi everyone, I'm Kalina.
Hi there, I'm Oleg.
Welcome to the first video in our YouTube channel, Knockout Data Insights. Oleg and I recently took part in the latest Power BI Workout Wednesday challenge, and we thought our work turned out to be quite interesting, so we wanted to share it with you. We hope you will find some useful tips on creative dashboard design and visuals. Oleg, could you start by giving some background on the challenge and showing your submitted dashboard?
Yeah, sure. Uh, for those unfamiliar with Workout Wednesday, it's a weekly analytics challenge for Power BI, Tableau, and other tools. And the objective is to create either a report, a visualization, or a feature that goes beyond the basics of the tools. And the challenge is it's run by volunteers from the DataViz community, and you can learn more about them on their website at workout-wednesday.com, and we'll leave a link to it in the description. Um, but these challenges are a fun way to enhance your skills by tackling unique problems each week. And the goal of this week's challenge was to create a visualization about the Eurovision Song Contest, highlighting some key takeaways. And we used the data set that they provided from GitHub. And there's a lot of data, so there was flexibility in how you can approach it. But one key requirement was for the report to include at least one custom visual. So I'll start by giving a quick demo of my report, and then you can do the same, Kalina.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. So here's my report. My report, I decided to delve into one specific area, and that's the differences between how much the public likes a performance versus how much the jury likes a performance. So the Eurovision contest, it's been around for many years, but since 2016, they've had a system where half the votes come from the public and they call it in through the phone, and then the other by panel of juries. So it's 50-50, and then the total score is what decides the winners and the finalists. So I decided to look into see if there's some biases and trends, and if certain countries appear on the list more. Um, this chart on the left is my custom visual that I decided to utilize. It looks like a bar chart, but it's not exactly a bar chart. It's called a diverging bar chart, and another name for it is also the tornado chart because it kind of looks like a tornado. So you see here on the left, you have the jury points and then the tele points on the right. So the two variables are next to each other. So this type of graph is a good way to show the relationship between two variables and highlight their sensitivity. Now, I did experiment with just using regular bar charts. So, for example, here, you still see the tornado chart on the left, but the chart in the middle is your typical stacked bar chart, and then the telepoints are stacked on top of the jury points, which it's okay, but I think this type of chart is better for visualizing like totals, and that's not necessarily what I wanted to do here. And another pitfall of this is that sometimes you can't tell which bar is bigger. Like, for example, Italy and Ukraine, they look kind of similar, but because they don't start at the same point, you can't tell which one is bigger. So that's a potential issue. Then you have the clustered bar chart, another core visual within Power BI. So in this case, the problem of not being able to tell which is bigger is not there because they do start at the same point. You can clearly see which is bigger, but then you have two separate bars, and it gets very crowded. Too many bars, and it's harder for your audience to interpret what's really happening here.
Yeah, I do agree. The first tornado chart looks the best choice here.
Hmm. Yeah. Then my second chart, it is a bar chart, and then here, what I'm doing different is I'm showing the difference between the televoting points and the jury points. So while the first chart showed both of them, this one shows the aggregated results that I want to highlight. So I the order of countries is a little different. So like Norway, for example, was number 4 on the first chart because of how many televoting points they got, whereas now they're number 2 because there's a significant difference between the two. The public favored them a lot more over the jury. So once you take the difference between the two votes, they are in second place with 494, a delta of 494, second behind only Ukraine. Um, and then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you see Australia and Sweden. They are heavily favored by the jury as opposed to the public, through all their performances.
I really like this one. Um, One question though, how did you manage to add the flags next to the country names on the bar chart? Because I've done this myself with flags, but in table visual. But I don't know how to do this on the y-axis of a bar chart.
Good question. It's technically not a bar chart. It's a simple table visual, but with a lot of formatting. So the first thing you would have to do is go under Style Presets and select None, and then from there you gotta do some additional formatting changes like modifying the grid and then the column headers and so on. So uh, essentially you just really play with it a lot and customize it. But these fields, they're all different columns. So the country name, the flag of the country, the bar, and then the points associated with the bar. And the bars are achieved with conditional formatting based on the number of points. So this is a trick I learned from the Data Pairs YouTube channel. It's run by Mara Pereira. She has a lot of such creative but simple solutions and ideas. So that's why I really like them. And in this case, I used it for my visualization.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know who she is, and I'm a big fan of her as well.
Yeah. And then lastly, I wanted to provide a little bit more details about the aggregated results. So while everything before was shown by country, now I have individual performances. So you can see like Australia 2016, Sweden 2023, how they did each time when they performed. And I wanted to show the distribution. So the line in the middle represents an average, meaning that any dots you see, they had the televoting points and the jury points are very similar to each other. So, like you see, Portugal here, they got a lot of points in 2017, but they weren't an outlier in terms of any sort of bias because the jury and the public liked them similarly. They got almost the same amount of points. Whereas Sweden in 2023, there was a big difference between the two, and the jury liked them a lot more. Or the biggest outlier for televoting was Ukraine in 2022, where the public really liked them a lot more that year as opposed to the jury, which gave them 192 points. So they had a very big delta. So this lets you see the outliers, and it gives the user some exploration by clicking into specific countries, or if you want to select a specific country, like let's say we pick Italy, you can see how they did, historically. So like a few times they were favored by the jury, a few times they were favored by the public. So it's relatively simple as in terms of the setup, and then uh, at the top I just have slicers for the year if we want to drill into specific years, see how each country did. Yeah. Yeah, so that's my report. I'd love to see what you did with it, Kalina. I know you also kind of explored a similar topic in regards to the Eurovision contest. So, yeah, do you mind sharing your dashboard?
Yeah, sure, I'll share my dashboard as well. And good job, Oleg. I really liked what I saw here.
Thank you.
So what's our focus today is this line chart visual. So this is a simple line chart from the built-in visuals, and I enhanced it with error bars and with custom labels. And then finally I took this up to the next level by combining with area chart. And you may ask yourself why have everything in one place? Well, the main idea is to provide more relevant context and details to the highlighted facts. And I'll show you how I built this, highlighting the creative steps in it. So let's get started. So being a simple line chart, I'll start with showing you the model behind it. So in this model, we have three tables. So we have contestants table that contains the Eurovision history. So from this table, we have information like how many countries participated each year in Eurovision. Then we have our date table with yearly granularity. And then we have some Eurovision facts. And if I show you closely what we have in this facts table, we have year, then we have the fact itself, and we have some fact ID here. Now, going back to the line chart, we start by pulling the year from the calendar table on the x-axis, and then on the y-axis, I'm pulling the fact ID, but I'm doing this in a measure to have more flexibility later on. So it's simple measure with selected value and then fact ID, and you can achieve this result also with min or max depending on your preferences. And then the next thing that I did is showing those markers here and the facts itself. So if I quickly go to a new page and add a line chart with the year and the facts, so this is the default view. But how I turned this to the markers view without lines is I enabled markers, and then in the lines settings I changed the width down to 0. Okay, and now the last touch on the facts itself is showing the text behind the facts, and this is where custom labels can help us. So if I go in the settings under data labels, we have this setting for the detail, and here we can add the facts itself, and that will showcase the text on the fact instead of the ID, which will show up if I just turn on the values like that.
That's a really cool trick. And how did you achieve the effect of having the line from Eurovision highlight to the x-axis?
Right, that's another trick. So for this visual effect, I'm using the error bars. So if we go to error bars and enable them, then we need to populate upper and lower bound. And for upper bound, I'm using the measure that I have on the selected value with the fact ID. And lower bound is another measure, super simple one, just with a number that makes sure that this line goes down to the 0 or below 0, so you can have different number depending on your preferences and how long you want the line to be shown on the visual.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And how did you add the actual event years below?
Right, the event years is that's based on some more measures. So I have these measures for position 2 of the event facts, where I'm taking the fact ID itself, and I've decided to divide by 2. But yeah, you can divide by any other numbers if you want to place the years differently. And then on top of that, I've also created this event year measure. That's again a simple measure with selected value and the year from the Eurovision facts. And then I'm using this event year. So when I switch to the event Y position 2 measure that we created, then I'm using under value the event year measure to achieve this. And I'm customizing this further with some background and colors. But yeah, using custom data labels with those two measures is the gist of it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's a lot of tricks all in one visual. I know there are custom visuals for timelines, but in this case, you were able to do it with a line chart, and that's really cool. Yeah, I really like the fact that you started this dashboard with some history. So starting from the beginning, when the contest began and how it grew over time, and some key points. So before you even get into the insights of the voting, like you start with this, I think that's always a good way to start a report or dashboard to provide some context to someone who may not be very familiar with the topic. Do you mind just giving us a quick walkthrough of the other pages?
Yeah. Just before that, may I mention about the area chart as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because it's something that I promised to. In the effective area chart here is again something that I'm achieving with error bars, but in a bit different way. So I'm using error bars for having this additional context of number of participating countries. But then on top of adding upper and lower bound, I'm also using this error band. I'm enabling this error band settings and with style being filled, and that allows this secondary y-axis to look like area chart.
Mhm.
But yeah, now if I switch to the rest of the pages that I have, I do have some voting patterns. So on this tab, I'm highlighting countries and how they vote between each other, because I've seen this to be a trend over the years. And I've grouped countries into Nordic, Balkan, Western European, and Mediterranean countries. If we take, for example, the Nordic bloc, and I have here Sweden, we can see what are the top 5 countries that voted for Sweden mostly. And alternatively, I've shown this with the help of this custom visual social network graph. So this visual is normally used for hierarchies and org charts, but in this case, I've placed the main country, and then around this country we have different circles, um, and the circles are with a different size depending on the uh, points countries have given to each other. So in this case, you can see how Norway was the country that gave majority, most of the points to Sweden. And with this matrix heat map below, I'm providing some additional context for the rest of the countries and how these votes develop over time. And then I have, similar to your analysis, on the patterns between jury and televotes. I visualized a bit differently. So here on top right we have the top countries where we have the greatest difference between jury and televote, and then here below I'm again focusing on those countries, showing the delta in the points. And a fun fact that I'm highlighting here with these icons is that regardless that we had a huge differences between jury and televote for for 5 out of 6 years. These countries were actually winners for those years. So yeah, that was my analysis.
Yeah, I like that last part of having the icons for the winners. Showing that the jury and the public, they don't have to agree, and oftentimes you know the winner is determined by one side. So I really like that. And I really like the custom visual that you did, with the flags showing the relationships and how they are bigger if they tend to vote more for the other country. So yeah, really good job on this. I like it a lot.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching, and see you next time.
Yes, thank you for watching, and we'd love to hear your ideas for our next video. So don't forget to leave a comment with topics that you're interested in. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.